Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We are positively into the offseason, the sad season, the dark season. Dennis Koulatsos joins us now from West Baltimore over in the it looks like he's in San Francisco if you're watching. He's really on Security Boulevard over in beautiful Woodlawn. They call that Westview, Woodlawn. What am I allowed to call that? Security Boulevard?
You know, Westview, Woodlawn, Catonsville, you name it. We are whatever, you want us to be.
I remember Westview. I remember, back when the Chi-Chi's was over there, it was called Westview back in.
There you go.
Yeah, I got to smile at you. It's very tough to make you smile after what happened in Baltimore Saturday night. So I'm going to accept that. I'll just leave the floor for you. I followed you out on Twitter. I've got some of your thoughts, and I know you'll be here on Thursday from 3 until 5, sort of driving everybody home, getting them ready for the AFC and NFC championship games this weekend. But what a Saturday night it was in Buffalo, Dennis.
Yeah, there's just no way around it, Nestor. I think when Coach Harbaugh created those T-shirts that said finish, I think the new T-shirt should say, we got finished, right? I mean, you got to wear that crown. It fits. The team failed to execute, whether it was poor snaps, poor offensive line play, special teams was a mess. The passing game has been one-dimensional for a very long time. So all these things came back to bite the Ravens. Look, they're one of the top 8 teams in the league. We get that. But in order for them to take the next step, it's obvious they have to do some things different, whether it's player, scheme, et cetera. But another disappointing finish by a team that was in there, that played good enough defense to give themselves a chance to win against a very good Bills offense. But they just didn't do enough. So for me, we got finished. There's no way around it.
Well, for me, being Baltimore positive, the positive part is you're on the 9-yard line. You got a couple of plays to score a touchdown to tie the game. If that goes the other way, if the Ravens win a game, you're now talking about sitting here right now talking about going to Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes maybe not being able to play, certainly not being able to practice this week, right? And we're in a different spot about whether they can win a Super Bowl. I have said all along, and I said this to you last week on your show, on my show, I've said this for months, I didn't really believe they were the best team. I may have been believing that last year. I think you could make a case that I believe that when they lost in New England, in the Lee Evans game, that I could make a case that I thought I really believed in my heart of hearts they were the better team. I believe they were the third best team. And I think based on what Kansas City and Buffalo have now done, they are the third best team. But when I look at it, I say the passing part of this, the part where, as you said, one-dimensional is what you called their passing game, I'm not even sure about that. But when you give Leslie Frazier and Sean McDermott an opportunity to put together a game plan, when you score 3 points in a postseason game, kicker be damned, offense be damned, win be all of that, when you score 3 points in the postseason, you weren't good enough. And that's what I wrote at 11 o'clock Saturday night, and that's probably what I'm going to be writing for the next 8 months about this team, is this team wasn't good enough this year.
Well, they got schooled 3 years in a row, Nestor, by defensive coordinator. This year it was Leslie Frazier. Last year it was our very own Dean Pease, and the year before that was Anthony Lynn and company, right? So 3 years in a row, they figured out the offense. They figured out how to take away Lamar's best weapons, his speed, et cetera. They minimized him. And again, forced him into a bad error. He didn't see the guy on the goal line there for the 101-yard touchdown return. But it's the same old song. And again, for a team that says finish, I go back to that. And there's got to be accountability from the general manager to the head coach to the players. I mean, the offensive line was a sieve. The poor snaps. I mean, everything that could go wrong went wrong. Justin Tucker. Look, it was windy on both sides. That's what I go back to. You got to execute in those moments, and that all these things, lack of execution, scheming, etc. They just got outworked. The defensive line of the Bills had their way with the Ravens offensive line. There's no getting around that. Look, we don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. I get that, but again, 3 years in a row, just a very, very, very disappointing loss. Can't underscore that enough.
Well, the Lamar thing, and that it will stick to him, and that he threw the pass, and that he's the quarterback, and this will be Lamar not being able to win. To your point, there were so many things, much like last year, right? Like that, yeah, was Lamar great last year against Titans? No, but that was really on the defense not being able to stop Derrick Henry. There were a lot of things that go wrong, but Lamar will carry this fairly or unfairly, right? But having better weapons, having a center get him the ball, having a kicker hit a kick, right? I mean, all of these things, having a punter hit a punt, right? All of these things that went wrong on Saturday night feels very team lost to me. I mean, I'm not down on Lamar, and I know they're at a point where they're going to have to give Lamar a whole lot of money, and I brought up the point with Luke as to how attractive would Lamar be on the open market that franchises would want to give him a couple of $100 million and then completely retool around him when he does not, has not, and it's not to say will not or cannot, pass them into a championship in January, because it's very obvious this ground game works well until it doesn't. And then you have to have the next thing that they don't have right now. They don't have it yet.
Well, how much of a drop-off is there between Tyler Huntley and Lamar Jackson? I think that's a fair question. Look, I know that Huntley went in there under adverse conditions, but he was able to move the team. I thought he showed a better arm than Lamar Jackson, and I even thought that can Lamar give us 2 first-round draft picks? Do you not tie up all that money in a quarterback, right? Can you do the same thing with his backup? I don't know, but these are things I think they have to consider. I think all options for the team have to be on the table, but at some point, I mean, the first 2 or 3 drives, Lamar looked like he was playing for the Keystone Cops. He was running around all over the place. The team looked out of sync. They had second and long many times due to bad snaps, but I think at this point they have to put all options on the table and really consider the future of this organization.
So when it comes to Lamar and signing Lamar, where are you then on that, Dennis?
You know what? I don't know at this point that I would sign Lamar to a huge contract, because, again, he's made a leap from year 2 to 3, but has that leap been significant enough? Do they get 2 number 1 draft picks for him and build around Huntley or somebody else? Is there another option?
I don't think anybody's given them two number 1s and then giving Lamar $300 million. I don't.
No, I don't know. People have done. There's some stupid general managers out there we've seen, so I don't underestimate the stupidity of some of these.
Well, I don't think the Ravens are stupid, but I think that they have a unique circumstance here, right? Well, if they give him the money, then
I'm saying
that's
there's
where they are.
I'm saying there's stupid organizations out there that would give him the money and give us 2 number 1 draft picks. But I think you have to consider all your options. You know, I've been all in on Lamar since day one. I just don't know how much more of a ceiling Lamar has in terms of a passer. He's a world-class dynamic runner. We've seen it, but in terms of visibility, to go through his progressions, make good decisions. The game hadn't slowed down enough for him, much like Kyle Bowler, and I hate to put them both in the same category, but at some point the game has to slow down for Lamar. And for what I've seen this past Saturday night, it just hasn't. So my confidence in him isn't what it was, say, a few weeks ago.
I don't think there's any circumstance where the team's built to drop back and have him throw the football and do it well and do it efficiently and look like other teams look doing it. The other quality teams look doing it in a 2-minute offense. They're so run-centric. They're so run-centric on the offensive line. We've talked about whether a wide receiver would make a difference. And I've talked at length with Luke about this, Dennis. If they had Stephon Diggs, how would it look different? They wouldn't be looking to target him 8, 10, 12, 14 times a game like other teams would look to do because they want to pass 40 times a game, and he's a primary target. I don't see this offense as wanting to do that. So, and certainly finding a wide receiver who wants to sign up and say, yeah, I want to go play in that offense where they're going to try to run for 3,000 yards a year.
Yeah, I think also, as you mentioned, the whole scheme is built to what they're doing, to what they cater to, their strengths. The offensive line, all the linemen, they don't have great feet. They have very slow feet. They were exposed by the quick, smaller defensive linemen of the Bills. We saw that Orlando Brown Jr. had a hard time at left tackle. He just doesn't have the feet to be a left tackle. Ronnie Stanley's a much better left tackle. That's why he's all pro at that position. Orlando Brown needs to go back to the right side. But I think a lot of their ills begin and end with that offensive line and having a one-dimensional lineman, particularly from the interior line, the guards and the center. They've got to get more athletic if they're going to change the scheme and bring more balance to the offense where they can sting you via the air or via the ground.
Dennis Koulatsos is here. He will be here on Thursday from 3 until 5. As always, the Sunday Sports Voice as well. Rebroadcast on Sunday morning, getting you ready for AFC and NFC championship games. Tom Brady, you talk about what a franchise could do, right? Like, Tom Brady was just going to go down to Tampa and be the 43-year-old quarterback and hang out with Bruce Arians. And what would he be without Belichick? And what does this mean to his legacy? And I love that word, legacy. You know, Ray Lewis never played anywhere else. Ed Reed went around and did a song and dance. I don't think their legacies are any different, quite frankly. So in the case of Tom Brady and legacy, this is something going into Green Bay and winning a championship game with a bunch of imports, right? Antonio Brown, Ndamukong Suh, Gronkowski, down the line, including my boy Ryan Jensen blowing guys up down there, huh?
Oh, you know what? I miss Ryan Jensen, and look, it was nice just to see him pile drive guys into the turf and block them all the way out of bounds. I really enjoyed his style. That's what you need. Big nasty, and very proud of him and what he's done since he left Baltimore. Back to Tom Brady, though, this is very much a legacy series for him, and at his age, with his all the pelts he has on the wall, it should be him and Aaron Rodgers should be a game and a battle for the ages, right? You talk about legacies for both quarterbacks, for both men. Can't wait to watch that matchup. Tom Brady against Aaron Rodgers.
Mahomes on the men this week, I guess. You know what's crazy is after the game, Jay Glazer, and I get along. I like Jay. Says they think he'll be ready next week. I'm like, what are you saying? I mean, like, what are you doing? He got hit in the head an hour ago. Like, what are you doing? I don't know what that's all about, but I know I would give the Bills odds to go out there. These are two good games. These are good teams. I think the Tampa-New Orleans game was wonderful, to sit and watch that on Sunday night, watch Breeze at the end. And, I know the fatal flaw was there and all that, but this is a good weekend of football. These are the four best teams. I'll say that.
No, it's a great matchup. We know the Bills. The Bills are built to win. I mean, they're a great organization. They got great coaching. They got the quarterback that seems to be the real deal. We saw what their defense is all about, right? So I think the Bills can give the Chiefs a run for the money, particularly since Mahomes, if he plays, he's probably not going to be 100%, right? So very intriguing matchup there. Brady and Rodgers, it doesn't get much better than that. So we're going to have a wonderful conference championship weekend and a wonderful Super Bowl number what? Going to be very entertaining. Too bad the Ravens aren't in there. They're still top, one of the top 8 teams in the league. Let's not minimize that. But in order to get to that Final Four and hopefully to the Super Bowl, there are certain things that you and I have covered that they will have to do, and some tough decisions to make in the offseason.
There's some very important things I need to do with friends here in the offseason, and you're one of them. Tell me the truth. Game was on the line. Mahomes gets dinged. Baker Mayfield's got the ball. Are you rooting for or against the Browns at that moment? Very, very important. This is going to define whether you're a good person or not, Dennis.
I dislike Baker Mayfield, so I was actually rooting against the Browns because of him.
Thank you.
I don't mind.
That's good.
Look, I don't mind. Look, I feel for the organization. I know what it's like. We know what it's like to have a team ripped from us. And thankfully for them, and this is what they don't realize, is that they were only with that professional football for 3 years. For us, it was 13 years. They've had their team
for 21 years now. There's nothing.
I know that, but my point is, I don't dislike the Browns. I dislike their quarterback. If the quarterback was somebody else other than Baker Mayfield, then yes, I would have been rooting for them, 100%.
Did you see the pregame feature on the guy that lives out in Ohio who has the graveyard of Browns quarterbacks? Did you see that feature?
I did. That was unbelievable. Great spot on point. And I hope they add Mayfield to that list. I don't know that they will.
I've met some crazy people in sports, right? I mean, I've been in some fan basements. I've met every crazy Ravens fan. Captain Defense is a buddy of mine. Real fan Dan with the shirt off and all, the graveyard out in the middle of Ohio for quarterbacks, It's a little over the top. It's a little creepy, a little weird.
Well, you can't win with that one, right? And I'm not sure that this kid that they have can take them to the next level, and that's a decision that they'll have to make going forward. Can Baker Mayfield make enough plays to get him to a Super Bowl? I don't think he can. I haven't seen that he can. Luckily for them, they have a great running game and a great defense, and they have weapons around him too. So it's going to be an interesting postseason. And can't wait till next year. Can't wait for the NFL draft. And unfortunately, Nestor, I have to turn my attention to that very quickly, to the NFL draft, and see what players are out there that can perhaps make good Ravens and play like Ravens. The defense says going to lose a lot of people, a lot of unrestricted free agents. So it's going to be interesting to see what Eric DeCosta and company do in that regard as well.
How many years have I invited you to Indianapolis to lose your liver, not sleep, sit around, talk sports, run around with draft? I've done that every year for 15 years. I'm not inviting you this year. I'm not going this year.
And this year we'll probably go. But
I'll come over to your
all,
house and we'll sit
of
down in
all
the basement,
years,
socially distanced, and watch the Underwear Olympics on the big screen on NFL
that's
Network, right?
That's right. You know what? And if they're going to keep things the same scheme, Nestor, I would like to see an offensive lineman in the first round versus that 6'4" wide receiver that's going to be brought in to block and be disgruntled and complain he's not getting enough looks his way.
27th, we draft 27th. I told Luke a center would be okay with me. If they take the best center in the draft, I think that's a good pick for them.
There's a guy by the name of Creed Humphrey from Alabama. I believe he's a center, and I think he's rated that high.
If he's in Alabama, Eric and Ozzie know about him. I promise you.
I'm sure they do.
Bradley Bozeman has him in his phone. There's no doubt about that.
Give me the big uglies with good feet, right? Give me some athletic offensive linemen. Let's start there, and then we'll worry about the scheme.
The end of the Mark Ingram and Matt Judon era is here. Dennis, you want to say anything about the outgoing guys, the guys that won't be back?
Well, Ingram is notable on the offensive side of the ball, but you have, Matt Judon, Yannick Ngakoue, Derek Wolfe, Tyus Bowser, Pernell McPhee, Jihad Ward, Justin Ellis, just to name a few, all unrestricted free agents. Curious to see how they value the guys. I guess they'll gauge what they mean to the team. They're still espouse and adhere to the right player, right price philosophy that has served them very, very well over space and time. So, thank them for the service, but it depends on the dollars. I don't think that Matt Judon has, helped himself certainly, and neither has Yannick Ngakoue. And Mark Ingram, hopefully he'll latch on to a decent team, a playoff caliber team, and have a nice end to his career.
I think they'll bring Derek Wolfe back. I think Calais Campbell with one more year left. I think they would like to see that be what it is. I think they were happy with that part of the team.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Derek Wolfe has certainly acquitted himself well. Calais Campbell, I didn't mention because, again, as you mentioned, he does have 1 year left on his contract. But with Judon and Ngakoue, I would think they're going to probably try to keep one of those two. Maybe not. They'll look at the tape, look at the film, and see what kind of production they got out of these men. And it's all going to come down to the dollars as well.
Dennis Koulatsos can be heard on Thursday here. It is the Dennis Koulatsos Show, D. Koulatsos Show, out on Twitter, as well as the former Sunday Sports Voice, but still heard on Sunday morning. Now what are we going to do, right? Literally, right?
I had some Taharka ice cream the other night after the game. I did a little bit of 1 scoop of honey graham and 1 scoop of the roasted strawberry. So that kind of made me feel better about the loss.
You like that tart strawberry? That fixtures you.
I do. That's amazing.
Yeah, my wife loves that too.
It's like strawberry on steroids, right? You think, what the heck is a roasted strawberry? But, it's probably my favorite flavor. It's way up there for me.
All right. Well, I'm making have a scoop right now as well. Dennis, rest up, man. We got a long off season here, a democracy in action, a Super Bowl around the corner. Even Luke's talking spring training, although I'm not at this point. But take care of yourself. We'll see you at Coons Ford this week, all right?
You too. Stay well. Thank you.
You'll be here on Thursday from 3 until 5, driving you home with live radio here on WNST. Our pal Dennis Koulatsos. Also, our WNST tech service brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard, keeping you abreast of all things news-oriented. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore positive.